Namaste.
Namaste, Celine. Very,
Emoji.
very good.
Thank you very much to accept this interview.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Um, so the subject today is freedom.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So for you, what are the qualities of freedom being? Free being.
What are the qualities of free being? If I understood the question correctly, then what my my feeling is that one who is free, when one who is free, who has really grasped inside the heart the understanding which removes ignorance of the true self, you see?
Yes.
So that removing of ignorance is not merely an intellectual process. It is a very deep, it is a very, very deep cleansing and, in fact, a cure. I would call it a cure. So one who has experience, who is in now the experience of the free mind, the true mind, you see, and then in such a one is reflecting or radiating the quality of peace and joy, natural joy, and happiness, if you want to say like this. And they are not happy because of something nice or some nice thing has happened to them. They are living in the joy of their natural being, and they're very open. And I would say full peace is there, and wisdom also I would put there. You see, yes,
Thank you. And so, what are the obstacles to our freedom?
The obstacles. Thank you. Good question. First of all, I would like to establish what I mean. But everyone is fundamentally free. I mean, we are born free, if you want to say it like this. But conditioning arises for everyone. You see, and it is so universal conditioning that it happens also to animals, also to insects, also. Everything that is an expression of consciousness comes under some kind of conditioning, you see. But it is more strongly displayed, probably. I don't know if to say is more strongly displayed, but it is very strongly displayed in the human kingdom, in the sense that we strongly identify with our body, that we are our body, and our say social conditioning or religious conditioning or political conditioning shapes who we think we are. It helps to create in our minds an impression or an identity, and we believe this is who we are. And that starts from very young, from very early. As soon as the consciousness is in a developmental state, it is already forming this shape. I am this person. I'm a girl. I'm a boy. I'm Hindu, or I'm British, or I'm whatever. These impressions are getting formed very early, and as soon as they are fixed, they're set somehow inside the consciousness as deep impressions. That will be the obstacle to our realization that we are inherently free. We don't even know what it means, the freedom. We limit the freedom mostly to I'm free to do what I want to do or to go where I want to go, which is also a form of freedom, but not the freedom you're asking about.
But by the way, when we fall in love,
Yes.
we develop attachment. So how can we avoid that attachment becoming a kind of jail for
Yes.
our mind?
Yes, yes. Good question. First of all, if you are someone for whom self-discovery is important, to discover your true nature is very important, then I would say that it would be more favorable to you to ensure that your partner at least is open to your search, or at least open enough to allow you to explore your own journey, your own possibilities. That will be helpful. More than that, if they were called by the same urge or voice, then that would be super cool. That would be very, very good. But unfortunately, life seems to be very unpredictable in this way. Sometimes we fall in love with someone who has very contrary views, who is not interested in spirituality, and so on. So that will be quite difficult, I would say. And so, really, for one to discover the true, there has to be a strength, a resolve inside your heart that it doesn't really matter. Nothing will stop me from finding this thing that my heart is yearning to find. You see? Then I would say such a person is very rare and a real gem in this world. If you find someone who realizes that the most important discovery for them, or the most important thing in their life, is not necessarily a partner, or children, or money, or success in the world, but to discover their true nature. That is very rare and very powerful. You see, so their partner will not stop them if they have a partnership. But your question was that how to avoid it when we form attachments. And really, one of the reasons why we form attachments in the first place is that we are not enough strong in our own true place. Because if you're clear about who you are, if you're established in your heart, then the love that you have for someone will not displace you. In fact, there will be so much wisdom, so much openness, that I was about to say that it would inspire them to be more like you, but it doesn't always work like that.
Thank you. And about yoga, the practice of yoga gives us inner space and vastness. And it's called expression of consciousness too. What kind of meditation or do you have keys which can help us to expand this inner space?
Yes. Well, here, there are various forms of yoga, of course. Here we can call this Gyan Yoga also. Gyan Yoga means knowledge yoga, which is knowledge of the self yoga. And really, it's not only, of course, a life, even in common life, we have the opportunity to expand in consciousness. Often it's very slow, you see. When the consciousness begins to flower beautifully, is once there is inside the heart the urge and the sense that there's much more and it is really available, and the mind turns towards, the being turned towards this possibility, then things get speeded up very, very quickly, you see. So you spoke, I was a bit surprised what you said, because you said in yoga, you have this inner sense of expansiveness and spaciousness. If your yoga is providing that, this is already something very great, because I feel that one of the great modern sicknesses is that people lack inner space. We are so full of conceptual noise and informational noise and attachments and judgments that there's a claustrophobia for many people, and they're not quite understood that. So what that does, it makes us more aggressive, and you see like this, it makes people more aggressive and very unstable. Whereas you say in your yoga, you have spaciousness. What yoga are you speaking about? What form of yoga are you speaking?
It's
Yes,
about the practice of yoga, hatha yoga,
hatha yoga.
it's physical yoga.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, that would be really amongst the physical expressions, the phenomenal expression, physical expressions. That would be, for me, you've just made one of the best advertisements for your yoga. If it brings you inner spaciousness and peace, then it definitely is on the right track. But to complete that peace, you must have must be perfectly grounded in the understanding, which is the same as the being. So your understanding and your being are the same. They are one. That is the true yoga, which means, to bring two things into oneness,
Yeah.
so that there is not a separation of the sense of yourself and your being. It means the same thing. You are your being.
Okay.
Yes.
And in the in your path and in the way of yoga, there is great masters and yogi like Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharishi, or Papaji.
Yeah.
And this word master is considered by many as a loss of freedom.
I see.
Yeah, and which may be scary for them.
Yes.
So, yeah, what for you, in your experience, your masters have taught to you?
Yes.
Taught.
Yes. So, first of all, it's a very big misunderstanding. One is that the people are not free in the first place.
Yeah.
The master alone is free. You see, but there is a sense of an egoic freedom, which means I do what I want to do. I go my own way, and so on. Consciousness permits the life form and the life force, and the consciousness, while it is believing itself to be a person, to have this limited sense of personal freedom. And so the person also has a lot of ignorance and arrogance also, in believing that, yes, I do what I want, and so on, so and so. But we don't really have total freedom to do what we want. I think if we have the freedom, most people in the world, to do what they want, everybody would be rich and very beautiful according to their idea, and to be married to the perfect person who perfectly loves them and everything. But this freedom we don't have. We have the freedom to dream, but we don't have the freedom or the power to make that dream come true in the way that we imagine. So it is the same deluded person who is thinking that if you have a master, then that is giving up your freedom. Actually, it is giving up your bondage. If you find a true master, because master means freedom, and a true master only wishes for your freedom. He only works for your true freedom, not your ego freedom. So it is a question of exchanging one small thing for a greater thing. You see, even exchange, he doesn't want you. He doesn't want you. You think you're giving the master your freedom. Your freedom he doesn't want. You see,
Yeah.
we are not doing
Yeah.
the master any favor by giving. This is one gift that you're giving him your worst in order to discover your best. There should be a gratitude there, because the master must represent freedom. Why else? We are not talking about the old kind of idea of master and slave. This is different. The master doesn't want to make you slave. The master wants you to master your mind and to be, you see, but not to be an arrogant master. So a true master is only assisting each one to find real joy, real happiness, you see, and real freedom. So that misunderstanding has to be redefined and has to be understood in the correct way. The
For
master
sure.
cannot bind you unless he's a false master. You see, he cannot bind you. He's only work. There's nothing in the world, nothing in the world, no one in the world, including your parents, your husband or wife, or your children or your teachers, okay, is working on behalf of your freedom like a true spiritual master.
Yeah.
You understand? It would be just like God wants you to be bound. Of course not. Everything is for your freedom, true freedom, though, not just limited egoic freedom, but real spiritual freedom, which is to know and be yourself and to be full of love and radiate all this joy. And all the masters, some of them you mentioned, Ramakrishna, you mentioned Sri Ramana Maharishi, Papaji, you can mention Christ or Krishna or Prophet Muhammad or whatever. All of them are remembered, actually, not just as historical beings, but as beings who are radiate or emanate the quality of love and peace and joy and good guidance, wisdom to the world. So how can you be giving up your freedom?
Yes.
You see?
Thank you. And so, the practice of meditation, of yoga, that is a way for freedom, or that can become a jail too.
In the beginning, practice is unavoidable and very highly recommended because the mind tends to have certain habits which are not good. And to correct those habits, some effort is required. Maybe meditation, maybe yoga, maybe chanting, prayers, these type of pranayam, these type of things are helpful to correct the negative tendencies in the mind. But at a certain point, the student or the seeker must be developing, you see. And if a seeker is genuine, they will develop so fast, very, very fast, faster than the regular person is studying in another field. Because you have grace with you, you're trying to discover your original nature. So the universe supports your search. So if you're genuine, you're going to find that the waves of illumination will be coming to you like you'll be having so many freebies, so much is coming to assist you in this way, you see. So
Yeah.
at a certain point, though, you will notice that your your searching can begin to become an obstacle. You see, as you're growing in the power to discern very well between what is false and what is true. This discernment is going to help you to recognize when it's time to let go of your sense of separateness, and it will help you. So initially, it is good, the practice, the seeker identity helps you in the beginning, but later, it when it's not useful anymore, you will know of that and you will let go of it. It right now, as we are talking, an image comes in my mind, like sometimes when the astronauts are going into space and they get into a rocket and they go up, 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 and there's a lot of power, lot of petrol, lot of fire, whoa, going. And when they go up and they reach into this beyond the pull, the magnetism of the earth, when they've exceeded that, they go past that, then the bit that was generating the energy falls away. And they're just floating in space. So you see my point, you get my picture. So
Yes.
initially, some effort is there. We're pushing, pushing, pushing. And that effort is to take you to effortlessness. And as soon as you reach the into effort, you recognize the effortless, then the effort is not needed anymore. And there's a wisdom that will tell you when that moment is there.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah. What you do, mind has to stay just like free and like witness.
Yes, yes. Actually, yes, you can put it like that. The mind itself, which means thought, because mind is not an organ. Mind simply
Yeah.
means thought. No, I mean brain is an organ, but mind is not an organ. Mind is just thought activity, and it is that thought activity believed in or identified with that creates sometimes confusion or arrogance or the sense of knowledge. And all of these are witnessed within consciousness itself, which is what we are. And even our idea we have of ourself, which is not ourself, is also witnessable. But it becomes more witnessable as we mature to the stage where we become aware that our personality is also phenomenal. It is also impermanent. It is not the source. You come into the discovery of the source, sometimes not by seeing the source. You cannot see it because it's not an object. Just that the false ideas that we have fall away. And when they fall away, the source alone is left. So you and source are the same. So the feeling of me and source, the me becomes so weak. Now there's only source, but the source doesn't say I am source.
Okay.
It just is. Just like a chair doesn't say I'm a chair.
Yeah.
It just is.
Thanks. And so, in this way, the tradition of Advaita Vedanta doesn't speak of being free, but rather of being liberated. And why?
It's just a different use of term. I mean, the term freedom also is so widely used in so many different contexts. Political freedom, this type of freedom, and so on. Liberation has a bit more of a more profound ring to it. Liberation is not, it means free forever. You see? But even this has been sort of given limited connotation, you see? Like, political liberation or something like this, you see? So words will always create these coordinates. They will always create this unsteadiness. But liberation has a little bit more of a profound ring. But I don't. Yes, but I can use the word freedom as well too. It's not just a word, but the intention behind it. And because in Advaita also the language often uses the word freedom, and liberation also the same. Sometimes we use the word self or pure consciousness or awareness, and it means the same thing.
Yeah. Thank you. And so, what is the role of the grace in this process?
Grace, of all the words that we can use, grace is the most mysterious, because in a way no one knows what it is exactly.
No. No.
But I am going to put it that it is divine benevolence. It's like the gift that comes without our deserving it, you may say, but it comes from the source, is one way of putting it. Grace is also another name for what we truly are. You see, and grace. I feel like it is one way of saying it is God pampering God. You know the word pamper, pampering means somehow giving giving abundantly.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
see?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. So, in order to have the sense of giving, it means like giving to other or giving to another. But when the reality is discovered, you see that that other is also yourself. You know, this is what self-realization really, one of the fruits is the realization that there really aren't two. There's not really other. Other is an appearance within the one. It is only the one. Sometimes I say that really there are no conversations, there are no dialogues in the world. There's only a monologue. It is only the Supreme speaking with the Supreme in the play or a dream called life or otherness. So grace is what flows from the heart, you can say, towards the mind to help it to purify it and to be free from suffering and to discover the truth. That would be another kind of the definition I can put like that. But the definitions they change depending upon the maturity of the seeker.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much for these great teachings.
For myself, it is not enough important to explain things verbally, because even as we are speaking, for me, the atmosphere, the words must generate an atmosphere inside the heart and contribute to experiencing. They must be experienced. They must not just only be heard. You see, and they do that. They move more internally because
But
it's
which
important to
kind of
experience.
atmosphere do you mean?
I mean, inside to create this the atmosphere that is generated when understanding takes place in the heart. You
Yeah.
see, it creates that kind of spaciousness, a sort of emptiness also, more than just collecting information. It's more that it has to be experienced. It gets
Yes.
experienced. You see,
Yeah, for sure.
and this is the emphasis here in Mante Sahaja when we meet. It's really about how that is transformed internally into. It's like the words become kind of spirit themselves. They come from there, and they go there.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. And so, in your ashram, what are the practice? It's just an atmosphere, or do you meditate? You pray? You know, what is the practice?
Yes, yes. Well, actually, in the mornings, we start with what is called arti. It is a very beautiful part of our the mornings. It starts at 6:30, and there's some chanting, and it's beautiful chanting. And followed by a half an hour of silent sitting, but this silent sitting is more of a kind of guided meditation actually,
Okay.
to kind of focus the attention inside the heart so that that is experienced. And then after this time, people they take their breakfast or whatever, and then after this we go to the areas that we are working in the ashram, because there are many areas that we work, you know. But we do meet and we have spontaneous satsangs. We have satsangs. The whole atmosphere, again, the whole environment, the climate, it seems to be infused with this inwardness. It's not something that maybe I can convey just with the words, but it is so much, our interactions are so much based on the sense of presence and on pure awareness, conscious awareness, being conscious of your own being, and that is what we try to cultivate here. This, even though your actions may be very practical, or you're working on the land or whatever you're doing, kitchen work or whatever, but the mind stays in the heart, so to speak, if you understand.
Mm.
And but we are very natural, in expression. Everyone is. I don't like anything too much pretentious or nothing like that. I like people to be themselves, and but when we explore into the nature of being, it's taken with a total, from my point, I can say, with always the opportunity to destroy what is not true, to expose that, and to sort of free the mind to be the heart.
Mhm. Mhm. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Celine, and all the friends there for being present, and I'm blessed that your interview, this interview, will reach those who are subconsciously waiting for it in some way, and that it brings some light more to clarify what needs to be clarified, and
Yes.
to
Okay.
bring people more into their conscious self.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Understand. Good.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very
And
much. And I think it's time to say
merci
goodbye.
beaucoup. And thanks to the friends there, and all the very best. Beautiful days, and
Yeah, thank you.
okay.
Thank you very much. And yeah, please be welcome in France.
Thank you, thank you. Okay.